but it's also good for the Knicks is
Tibbs.
finding a head coach in Tom Thibodeau, who in his first season has it's the biggest turnaround from one year to the next in franchise history, and the season's still not completely over yet. Coach Tibbs joins us right now on the Goodyear Hotline. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, guys.
So I got to ask you, when you started this season with the roster you have, with the players you have, and knowing the 72-game season, did you truly believe, and I know Julius Randle said at the start of the season, but did you truly believe a top 6 playoff berth was possible for this group?
You know, when I got hired, I asked Julius to come in. It was the middle of the summer, and obviously with the pandemic, it wasn't easy to get around. And I think the next day he jumped on a plane and he spent a week up here. And when I saw that, like, you have an impression of someone when you coach against them, but when I saw the type of shape that he was in, and then I didn't have my staff in place, so I worked him out. And I saw the way he worked and his work capacity, and he was shooting the ball a lot better than I could remember when he was, he had played the previous season, and I had watched a lot of tape, and I felt like we had a chance. I saw how motivated he was, and then I didn't know how good we could be. I felt the first step was just to build the foundation, but I loved what I saw when he came in, and that week I was very pleasantly surprised, and he's been phenomenal, and obviously his play speaks for itself because it's not only his numbers and that's obviously great, but it was also bringing the best out of everyone around him. And we have a great group of guys. We have the right veterans. We have some really good young players that are growing, and I think they've been good for the veterans. They're bringing a lot of energy and eagerness every day. So it's a great blend of guys, and they truly are a team. They're just willing to sacrifice and play for each other.
Tibbs, Jay Will here. How you doing, brother?
I'm great, thanks. How you doing?
Good, man. It feels like it was yesterday you and I were on Get Up, and we were talking about opportunities that would come your way. And I'm curious, what was it about Leon Rose and the way they ran this organization that allowed you to decide this is right for me?
Well, I had known Leon and William Wesley for forever, and so I felt real comfortable with them. And I love Leon's leadership style from his days at CAA, and just knowing him more as a friend initially, and then obviously I'm represented by CAA, so got to just spend more time with them there. But just the way they carry themselves, and I felt, having been here before and understanding what New York is like, I thought they would be perfect for me. And so, and they're great for the organization and the city, and they just get it. So I think there was a real comfort level for me.
Coach, you're from Connecticut, a native there, and you grew up a Knicks fan. How is this Knicks job different? Because you understand the landscape, obviously. How is it different than your other two spots in Chicago and Minnesota for you?
I think each job is a little different. If you grow up in Connecticut, and I went to school in Boston, and I had the opportunity. I worked as an assistant here in New York and an assistant in Boston. It probably doesn't get much better than that. And then to have the opportunity to coach the Bulls, another major market, but there's nothing like New York. I think what the game means to the city. And there's probably three jobs that are a little bit different than the rest of the league when you look at the Lakers, the Bulls, and the Knicks. And so I think just the challenge of it all, knowing how great it was, my time here in the 90s with Jeff Van Gundy, and we had such a great team, and those games were huge games, and I loved every bit of that. And so I never thought that that it would be possible. You're always hopeful that things could work out that way, but each job has been great, but this one is special.
Tibbs, going back to your days in Chicago, loved watching the relationship that you have built, especially with a guy like D. Rose. How and seeing him now, which is the stuff that kid's been through, that young man, it's ridiculous how he's came out on this side of it, especially considering his last stint with the Knicks. How has this game ultimately evolved to where it is now?
Well, I think when you look back to the days in Chicago and to do what he did there and being a kid from Chicago and having that type of pressure and just the way he handled it all, he's got, obviously the great talent to be the MVP of the league at 22. That had never been done before, but just the humility to go along with it. And then he's such a great teammate. And unfortunately, derailed by those injuries 3 consecutive years. But if you look at any time in his career that Derrick Rose has been healthy, he's been one of the best players in the league. And so I felt, obviously I have a comfort level with him and he has a comfort level with me. But I think what he has brought to the team and what Taj Gibson has brought to the team, there are 2 guys that have won at a very high level, and they've been in a lot of big games. So I felt that they would be instrumental to help build the culture that we wanted to build here. And, I know that's a buzzword. Everyone talks about culture. What is culture? To me, culture is everything. It's how you do everything. It's not what you say. It's what you actually do, how you practice, how you carry yourself, how you are in team meetings, how coachable what you are, what kind of teammate are you, and I felt that those were the right guys for us. But Derrick it's a great story because a lot of guys probably would have walked away. Yeah, I think, Keyshawn, you probably, to sit out one season with an injury is difficult. To have to go through it 3 consecutive years and then to still have the wherewithal to get to the other side and push through and be the player that he is today. And he's been phenomenal for us. He's probably doing it more, now with just his knowledge of the game and how to manage his body and that sort of thing. Early on in his career, like most young guys, they're doing it more on athleticism and their talent, but he's got the whole package going now. And you put Derrick Rose in a big game, good things are going to happen.